Men, do you ever feel like you just can't get ahead? Like you're misunderstood? Like you have no one to talk to that truly hears you?
And women, are you often frustrated, hurt, and saddened in your relationships with the men in your life?
What if there were a community of like-minded men going through the same challenges that would support, hear, and understand what you're going through?
Working together in unison to create understanding, intimacy, and strong connections. That's the Way of the Illuminated Warrior.
Way of the Illuminated Warrior Talk Show is a forum of candid conversations for men and women about men. Being a man today is not always easy. Until now.
All right, welcome. So with me today on the Way of the Illuminated Warrior Talk Show is my brother Banks Anderson. And Banks is amongst many things that I've learned. He's a conscious man. He's a father, a massage therapist, a facilitator of men's work, retreats, and an incredible and informative breathwork facilitator, which we're definitely going to get into talking about. So welcome to the show, Banks. Thanks for joining me today, bro.
Thanks, Waska. It's good to be here, man.
Yeah, this is going to be a very rich conversation. I met Banks. I'm terrible with time, but not that long ago. But I've experienced some of the beautiful offerings that he's bringing to the community. So that's why I asked you to be on the show so you could share that experience and that knowledge and that beautiful offerings. With the local people here, but just even with the community online. So yeah, so thanks for all the beautiful work that you're doing out there.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure. It
Yeah.
really is.
So I'd love to dive in, talking about the men's work and the inspiration or the motivation, to get involved with working with men and helping our brothers really to find their higher selves. So before you answer the question, I'd just like to share that, I know for me, it's been a pretty wild journey for decades now.
Mhm.
There's been many experiences, as I'm sure you could attest in your life too. There's been challenges, stressors, and a lot of trauma, like pretty much every step of the way when I think about it, growing up in an alcoholic family. And
Mm.
I'm not going to go through all those things now, but I will say there's also been a significant amount of like transformative, like aha moments that have led me really to understand myself better, and I feel like has awakened me to be really much healthier in relationships, and that's really was my intention, I believe. So I'm sure you've heard the saying, like the only way through or the only way to get over these challenges is to go through them, right? And it really requires us to fully go through them. There's no shortcuts. So anyway, enough rambling from me. So I'd love for you to share is like, how'd you get involved with the men's work and this beautiful work that you're doing, and what's inspired you to do these offerings?
Yeah, man. And it's funny you say that. I have a a former partner of mine was real into Thich Nhat Hanh, and she gave me this framed picture of his calligraphy
Mm,
that says, "The only way out is in."
yeah,
And
yeah, right.
a few months ago, I was having an experience where I was really trying to get out of something, some
Mm.
kind of emotional challenge that I was going through, and that picture fell and it broke.
Thich Nhat Hanh was sending you a little message there, huh?
But anyways, it's interesting. It kind of started because of breath work. Uh, there many years ago, I was growing cannabis and selling it, and I was so paranoid.
Mm,
I was in the underground cannabis community, and I didn't love it. But it was like paying the bills and then some, you
yeah.
know. And I kind of became a part of the culture, but it led me into so much paranoia where I kind of had to hide who I was with
Mm,
everyone I engaged with. All the new people I met, I kind of had to suss them out to see if I could tell them who I actually was.
yeah.
And then the people that I worked with too, it's because it's underground, there's no receipts, it can be kind of a free for all with how people want to show up to the business. And
Mm.
I definitely learned a lot about humans and friendships and relationships in general through that process. But um, it really came time to a change. And I traveled for a little bit and found breath work, actually. And I remember the first time I did breath work, I was in Indonesia and I started the session in one place in the room, and after the breath work I was in a totally different place,
Mm.
and I was like in a puddle of my own snot and tears.
Yeah, I can relate to
And
that. I'm gonna just interject for 1 second because you and I have experienced breath work. For those who may not know, that they might have heard breath work. If you could just, before you
mhm.
continue, just explain what breath work is.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I'm talking about is not pranayama, but it's more it's like conscious connective breathing. So there's different ways to do it, but it's essentially more intensive breathing, uh, and eliminating the space between the inhale and the exhale and the exhale and the inhale. So it's kind of continuous for extended periods of time, 30 minutes to an hour or longer in some cases. And sometimes it can look like hyperventilating, but it often creates an experience that some people say it's similar to like a psychedelic experience.
Mm.
But I like to think that the air kind of creates space between you and the things that challenge you and make it easier to look at them, uh, and explore them. And so it can cause emotional breakthroughs or kind of like awakenings,
Mm.
uh, in some cases. It's different for everyone, really, you know. Um, so that's like a little
Yeah,
synopsis, but
thanks. Yeah. So you were in
yeah,
Indonesia.
yeah. And essentially that got me kind of curious about breath work. I was like, what has happened? I left my body in some respects, and I wasn't really sure what happened, but I cried a lot. And I remember feeling like a lot of anger and grief,
Mm.
which I hadn't really touched before. Um, and so I started to just kind of like follow that trail. It made me curious. And the next thing I knew, I started taking different trainings. And I took one in Indonesia and I took another one here in Weaverville, North Carolina. And during a session that I was receiving in a training, um, I just started to feel like this pain again. This is like grief and pain, and I didn't really know what to do with it.
Mm.
And I felt angry too.
Mm.
And it's like combination of things, and it was like really hard to experience in my body.
Yeah.
Um, and I had in my past, used a lot of substances and alcohol, and was really into the party culture and the
Yeah.
hookup culture and all that. And um, I had used that as a way not to touch this.
Mm.
And now I was like here, and it was interesting because there was a group of women there, and they were witnessing me in the training, and my body was convulsing, and I felt my pain, and then I recognized it also as my father's pain.
Mm.
Like it just resembled that, and my uncles and my grandfathers, and I just saw it kind of expand into a pain that men carry.
Yeah.
And I remember having this thought that like I wish that I could cry enough tears to replenish the earth,
Mm.
and I can't.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
And after we were kind of talking about it, and there was an Australian man in the training, and he was like, "You got to start a men's group, mate." And I was like, "I can't do that. I don't know what that even means." And we did it. He helped me, and I started meeting weekly, um, with a group of guys. I had just moved to Asheville, and it slowly just I stayed with it, and it just slowly became something over time. Um, And I would really say that, yeah, my pain is what led me here.
Mm.
And breath work was definitely a big catalyst. So it feels good to be able to offer that to others.
Yeah. So I've experienced your breath work twice, and like you were saying, it's different for everybody, and there's different types of breath work, and also I've had a number of different experiences with different facilitators. And even it's not really as much of a spiritual breath work, but if you're familiar with like Wim Hof, who does kind of hyperventilation breathing, I'm a shallow breather, so even doing his work, I get lightheaded, but it's not exactly the same. Like what I experienced the first time, we had the men's circle, and then we went into the breath work that you were facilitating. It was magical, man. It was magical. It was like it was first of all, of course, it was a very safe space. We all. I'm not speaking for everyone, but this was shared, and I know you created that container that we all felt like we could just let go, and that's a big part, and that's what I hear you speaking about also. And I know for me, when you feel safe and you feel held and you could just let go, that's when the tears come. That's when the emotion comes. That's when we connect to our fathers and our uncles and our brothers, and we could really feel the pain. That's not just it's like the mycelium, all the trees connect. It's all of us brothers connecting, and we're little boys, we're men, it's a beautiful thing. It's kind of hard to explain, I think, but it's just I know it really touched my heart when I and my partner, she said you got to keep going back to that because on the way out, walking to my car, I wrote like a little poem to her or whatever, and she's like, who wrote that? I'm like, I did. She's like, you got to go back to that breathworks. So point being is, it really opened me up. It took my protectors offline and just allowed me to feel more loving, to feel more creative, to feel more grounded and connected to guys that I really never met before. And it was really beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that it inspired poetry.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's raw, it's organic, it wasn't forced, and that's what my experience with the breath work was with you. And then the second time, it was a smaller, intimate group of men, and I started doing men's work and facilitating back in like 2011. This
Mm.
way, the Illuminated Warrior group, and sometimes it would be one guy there. Other times could be 10 or 11 guys there. And I'm like, my philosophy and my really true feeling is whoever is meant to be there is there. And I had started a men's talking stick circle through Meetup here in Asheville. And first time, a bunch of guys signed up. One guy showed up, and the guy's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this is exact," and it was perfect because he was in a really bad place and he needed my full attention. So, it's a beautiful lesson also. Like whatever when you put that intention out there and you're holding space for your brothers, whoever's there is, and we also connect through the ethers, really, not to be too woo-woo, but you send that energy out to brothers that have sat with us before and calling in the ones that need this help and that hopefully will sit with us or at least feel the energy. I mean, that's how we could really connect and raise the vibration and be there for our brothers, be there for our sisters. And yeah, I think this work is like so vital. So that's why I love what you're doing. And the other thing I really want to say that I respect about you and I really appreciate, you're very real, you're very genuine, you're very vulnerable. So you don't have this air, well, I'm the teacher, I know what I'm doing. I mean, you've shared stories, I read your blogs and stuff. Like, it's real. It's the trauma, it's the shit of life that like has really helped guide you to be the man you are. And I know for me, I've raised two sons from a marriage, one marriage and another son I call my bonus son from a 10-year relationship. And that really, especially when my first son was born, really inspired me to change because I was party boy also. My birth name is Perry. Everybody called me Party Perry, because
Mm.
that's pretty much all I did, not all I did, but I did a lot of partying. And it really, this little dude that came along, Jonah, my son, he's like, he woke me up and been like, okay, really? Is that what you're going to keep doing, or are you going to do this? You're going to do me and be a man and show me what it's like to live with, love and compassion and presence and stuff. So that really changed my life. Now I know you're a dad too. So how has becoming a dad affected, you, your work, how you show up in the world, how you show up for your kid?
It's massive. You know, it's hard to like reimagine my life before my daughter came into the picture.
Hmm.
Um, and it helped me get more clear about what really matters to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like I could never repay that debt to her, you know,
Mm.
by what she's given me and the space between us, like the love that she calls into me. I mean, today I was trying to put her down for a nap and she wasn't going down. And I watched like my mind of logic was like, it's nap time. Like this is what we do right now. And it's like she just wanted to play. And we just had an incredible time. And it's okay to miss a nap, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so I'm so in love, and I feel so blessed and it works me incredibly. It is like you said, it's like there's this continuous sharpening stone. And in certain cases, like it's hard to look at her if I'm doing something or acting in a way that isn't in service to her life. And so she really helps me turn towards that.
Yeah.
Um, so it is incredible. And I do want to say just the thing that you said about, sending energy out to other men and that aren't in the circle, like it is really important that we hold something like that when we do this work because the like it can be easy to think that this we show up to this work to feel better, and that's not really what it's about. It's we show up to this work to serve our community and the world around us. And this work is not about feeling better. Um, if
Yeah.
there's anything I learned, and it is truly, I mean, so many men walk around unclear of what their purpose is.
Hmm.
And what I have seen time and time again, and in myself, is when we have that space that we can enter as men, where we can allow our hearts to break, where we can feel what's happened in our lives, what we've witnessed in our lives, what's happening right now in the world,
Yeah.
all of these things, when we can really feel that and let ourselves be crushed, that will inspire a way of being
Yeah.
without question.
Yeah.
It has been the number one of the most valuable motivators in my life,
Mm.
aside from my daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's beautiful, man. Yeah, I've experienced this not just in a lot of the men that I've sat with, but in myself also. I mean, most of us have taught like not to express those emotions, and we have to be strong for whoever we're in relationship with, especially, if you're married, for your partner, for your kids, for your community. And, it's been detrimental for me when I was younger, not expressing my feelings. I used to stuff everything down. I used to, when I was a little boy, I used to have stomach aches all the time and I'd be
yeah.
sick, and it was because I just did not emote in a healthy way. And then as I got older, I realized, and I'm still working with this. I've got a lot of pent up anger in me, from stuff from when I was very very young that I'm still transmuting. And it's so important to acknowledge these things and not keep stuffing it down. And all of it's okay, even anger. I mean, I was kind of shamed for like, well, now look at him, now he's angry. Well, all I'm asking for is healthy boundaries. Well, you're angry, you're raising your voice. I'm like, and then I was shamed for that. But I learned also, like, there's a healthy way to express anger, and it's not okay to keep stuffing it down and make myself small and make myself sick. And that's true of everybody. And we're talking about the men's work. I think a lot of guys do that. We shoulder a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, a lot of blame, all that stuff. And that's why I love the men's work. It's such a tool, and the breath work, such a tool to release these things in a safe way, that I feel for guys. Like I really do. Like, bro, check this out. Like some of my best friends that still live in New York, not open to it. And, I was like with them and a bunch of other people. I'm like, come on, you got to check this out. You got, I'd even like try to trick some of my best friends. It's like, oh, you interested in happy hour this Friday? I'm like, oh yeah. Oh, you're available? Well, it's the men's circle. Like, oh no, no. But anyway, one of my mentors, Ocean Festival, she told me, she's like, Waska, she's like, you can't, you're not going to save anybody anyways. It's like you could offer what you're offering. Don't try to help everybody. Some men are asleep. Give them a pillow, let them dream. If and when they wake up, you'll be there. Just focus on the ones that are awakening or awake and that want to do this, and just hold space for the other ones, and they'll come when they come. You can't force anybody to do anything. So that was an interesting awakening for me also. Just, it's more like the just be instead of trying to do and get everybody to do. It's just setting that space and that tone for us to connect as guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's pretty hard to enter into the space as a man who's very unfamiliar with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like dying.
Yeah. It's the great unknown. Yeah. And it takes space. Well, that's why it's so important. Like, I mean, okay, I've been around the block a number of times, but like I walk into the space, I see you, I see the other guys, the tone is set, the intentions are shared, and I'm like, anybody could do this. It's like, of course it's easy for me because I've done it many, many times. But it's like so inviting and so beautiful. It's like just, you know, 80% of success is showing up. Just show up, bros. Just show up, and take care of the rest. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
I've seen guys, and I know for myself too, just the transformation that happens, just allowing, just allowing. It's like, well, what do we got to do? What do we? You don't have to do anything, man. Just allow. Just be open. Just, you don't have to protect this. We're going to protect each other, right? It's a beautiful
Yeah,
thing.
which is a foreign concept.
Yeah.
At least when it comes to emotional territory.
And that's big, especially for guys. It's like I'm not gonna cry in front of you. Oh my God. I'm not gonna show you my heart. I'm not, but why not? Why not? I mean, I don't know how you feel. I do know how you feel, but like, is it the most beautiful thing in the world to like look in a guy's eyes and hug him and know he's got your back and that you could share something with him because he's there and present with you that you may not be able to share with, some of your best, closest friends, right? I mean, what a beautiful thing to be able to do.
Yeah, and a big side effect of not doing that is that men dump on their partners,
Yeah.
whether it's directly or indirectly.
Hmm.
And they're asking their partners to hold so much
Yeah.
uh, because there is this association with women being safe emotionally,
Mm.
and it creates a lot of rupture in relationships.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
We'll be right back after this. Do you sometimes feel down, lost, or lonely? Are your finances feeling sluggish? Can your relationships use a healthy tune up? Don't fear, bro. Help is here. Experience the benefits of connecting with other men who are going through similar challenges. Be supported in our safe, sacred, and inspiring monthly telecircle with the Brotherhood of the Illuminated Warriors. Connect with Waska for one-on-one mentoring with the first session completely free. What have you got to lose? Check out illuminatedwarrior.com or send an email to waska at illuminatedwarrior.com. You're invited to step up your game and join us. You'll be glad you did. Big trigger for me is like when I hear from my partner, I don't feel safe because immediately I'm like, I go to like the shaming myself place and like, well, you're not worthy. I'm like, what do you mean you don't feel safe? And she doesn't necessarily mean she doesn't feel like physically safe. It's more of an emotional safety. Like I don't feel like I could say what I want to say to you without you getting angry or defending yourself. And that's big. That's really big. And I had to really take a look at myself because I want to be there for my partner. I want to be what she needs me to be, and I need to just shut up and listen and hear and be present. Like, okay, this is what safety is to you. It's like it's not what I think it is, because I'm like, okay, well, what do you mean you're not safe? Of course, I'll protect you. I'll kill for you. It has nothing to do with that. That's that that young mentality, that masculine mentality that doesn't know how to soften up and just be, with the sacred feminine. So it's these ways are so important to practice. It's like anything else. Like if you play sports or whatever, yoga, music, the more you practice, the more you get it. And if we don't practice these things, how are we supposed to know, right? They're foreign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm curious just if you found a place like in which your partner can feel safe in those moments, and what that's like.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. So for me, of course, the ego is like, well, I'm whatever I'm feeling. I don't even get into that, but I've taken a really good hard look at myself, and I have to put my ego aside and ask her, like, okay, what is it that you really need? And whether I like it or not, I've asked her. She's sharing with me. And are you familiar with IFS, like internal family systems? So that's been like a real game changer for both of us because we've had similar traumas growing up, and we trigger each other very, very easily. And we're like, what are we doing? We love each other. Like, why are we like doing this? So that parts work, has been super helpful. And in the beginning, I'm like, well, I really didn't. I'm like, I don't like that part of me. How do I get rid of it? And that's not what it is. It's like, this is a part of me. It could be like the 13-year-old little boy who didn't get what he needed, that's still doing the job he thought he needed to do decades later. I need to be there for this little dude and tell him I got your back. And it sounds a little weird and wacky, and I had a hard time with it in the beginning, but it really has been really helpful for both of us to realize like these are different parts of us, and we're beautiful, loving, caring people, and these parts have not gotten what they need. So we've been working through that, and that's been real helpful. So I think to answer your question, a large part of it is just really being present, getting out of my own ego, and trying. It's like that pattern interrupt. I'm like, I'm so sad because I'm a Scorpio, bro. I know everything. I have the answers to everything. I'm going to be in control, whether you like it or not. That's been most of my life. And like really teaching myself to be more mutable and flexible, it's like it's really freeing, but I had to break that pattern and really just teach myself to and allow myself to do something different. So it's been good for the relationship. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, I love you can drop it and just get curious about what it is she is needing.
That's a large part, and you've used the word a couple times in here. It's a large part of the work and of IFS, and just really just it being in a good relationship is really being curious, asking more questions, And I realized like I don't necessarily ask enough questions. I feel like I know, but it doesn't even matter. Even if I know the answer and I know how her day was, she would like me to ask her. She'd like me to be more curious, and
Yeah.
it just shows that it really increases the connection. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing, like with my former partners and women that I've been friends with or spoken to about this, that how many of them say when they still today, like when they talk to their father on the phone, he doesn't ask any questions. He talks about himself. She gets bored and the conversation ends. And it's like so hard to make a point of contact where, and now we're like, we're on the butt end of that, you know?
Yeah. Well,
And it is like we do have a beautiful way that our mind works to fix things. It's incredible. But it doesn't make a great master.
well, the intellect is one thing, and the heart is another. And they, like there's one elder that I just remember the first time I heard it. The shortest distance is, from your head to your heart, but it's the hardest one for us to travel a lot of times. We go in all these different directions, rationalizing, making all these excuses for whatever. But like, when you open your heart up, It's a beautiful thing, and that's again why these modalities is the men's work, sitting in circle, holding space for your brother, just listening, not because there's no fixing. We're not fixing each other. There's nothing to fix. We're just holding space for each other, and we're hearing, like deep hearing, and just empathizing and like commiserating, and that's a beautiful thing. That's that sacred feminine. That's what women. I just remember even when my sister was young. I mean, women just like, they were, the thing was like always like, man, women are like this. But meanwhile, in men's circles, guys never shut up sometimes. But so when we get the opportunity to talk, but that commiserating is really important to really just like, so you hear, hey, we need to be heard. Like as men, we shoulder so much stuff, we stuff it down. It's like it needs to get out and needs to be heard by someone who could really listen and not judge and not try to fix and just be there to hold that space and assure us like whatever it is, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Mhm. And that is like a big part of what I do in different workshops is teach men how to listen, how to be present with another man. I'll line them up face to face
hmm
and like allow them to really slow down in that space and learn how to listen to someone who's speaking.
Yeah, so I read something on your website, I believe it was, or maybe your blog. So I'm going to share that with the listeners, with the audience. These are Banks's words. There's a quiet cost to holding it all together. The pressure to be perfect in work, in fatherhood, in love, socially, can leave men cut off from their bodies, their emotions, and even their own truth. It's not sustainable and it's not necessary. This breathwork journey is a place to lay it down, to release the masks, to stop suffering in silence. Here we gather to remember our shared humanity together. I thought that was beautiful, bro.
Hmm.
I'd love you to speak a little bit about that and like, elaborate a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, a big part of why I growing up was so certain that I needed to stuff things down that were uncomfortable was because I had this image that I was supposed to be perfect. And, which related to my early childhood with things like adoption. And it was a way to like bring myself into the world as a man. And that's what I saw when I looked around was everyone trying to do that. And
Mm,
the shame of not doing that. Uh, I mean, just the general sense of shame that comes with being a man that a lot of people that aren't men really won't understand or argue with about. Um, but and I'll just say, a lot of what I want to do is create a social environment that says that brings less shame to men and makes more space for them
mm,
to be who they are and to go through the process of being human, which is totally imperfect. But also, like, that's not going to happen overnight
yeah.
if it does happen. And so it's really important that we as men become shame resilient and point in that direction. But just to carry on with what I was saying is I had this idealistic fantasy of my own perfection and how that would meet me at a true place of belonging in the world.
Mm,
And yeah, it was the biggest lie, you know, and I still get caught up in it.
mm,
But to me, something that you said is like the way that I lead is real. It's not like from some higher up place. Like it's so many times when I look at someone who inspires me, I imagine that their life is perfect, you
mm,
know, whether it's some author of a book I'm reading or some guy on social media or even someone in my community that I don't know that well. Like I
mm,
have this, I project that fantasy onto him.
yeah.
And in the process of like feel insecure. And
Yeah.
so for me, it is so important to be like, we're human.
Yeah.
Uh, and that to me creates a greater possibility of a man living out his life in a way that He actually wants to. Um, and you know, IFS is all about welcoming those parts that we've exiled or pushed away or
Yeah.
struggle to relate to. And so for me, um, I'm not uh, I'm like a college dropout, you know. I've been to jail. I've sold drugs. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life and had my own like uncontained initiations in life that have really brought me into who I am. And I'm not claiming to be some perfect person, but rather one that really gives a shit
Yeah.
about the world that I leave behind for my daughter and for our children and how we care for and steward um, our lives, our relationships with Earth.
Yeah.
So for me, I want to make space for men to fall uh, because, and it's impossible like to really put that burden down alone. Most
It
men
is.
will try, like,
Yeah.
you know, if I can, especially with AI now, it's like if I can just face this stuff in a place where no one knows about it, then I'll be socially accepted. And I'm like, no,
No.
we got to bring it home together. Um,
Yeah.
so I feel very passionate about that.
Yeah, I know you do. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's that's why I really love indigenous wisdom and sitting with in particular indigenous elders because a lot of their wisdom it comes from the past. It comes from like really earth medicine that it's not all these, certainly not AI. It's basically just getting back to the heart, the heartbeat of the mother of earth. It's like it's the simplest things of just even grounding yourself on the earth, hearing the heartbeat of the mother, just connecting with nature. And these things all serve us anyway, because when we abuse nature, we're abusing ourselves anyway, whether it's polluting the air or the water or the airwaves. I mean, that's so important. Like I learned a long time ago, it's like it's not just what I say, it's what I think. Like my thoughts, if they're toxic, they're destroying my health, and I'm putting that out there in the world too. So, our thoughts, our words, our deeds, I mean, they're all connected. And, you familiar with the work of Dr. Masaru Emoto? He
Mhm.
did all the water crystals. He passed a number of years
Uh,
ago.
I
He
have read about
froze water crystals, and he exposed everything from like could be a bottle of water to like lakes that may have I mean they cleaned up lakes doing this, but even putting like words like love and gratitude and just I'll call them more beautiful intentions. The crystals that would be formed would be the symmetrical and just really fractal beauty as averse to putting hate and war and words like that. Literally, the crystals were different. They would be asymmetrical and they'd be disjointed.
that.
And if you think about it, like it depends how old you are, but we could be more babies is 90% to like whatever, 50, 60, 70% water as we get older. We're human crystals. So if I say to you, Banks, I love you, bro, you are the man,
Yeah, it does
it
something.
feels good. Or if I say you're a beep, you're an asshole. I don't like you. I don't like what you said. I don't like what you did. Like you suck. That doesn't, yeah, your whole face just changed, right? I mean, but that's what we do to ourselves. I know I do that. I still do that to myself. We do that to ourselves, and we put that out in the world. And that's what one thing about social media, like I really don't like. It's so easy to say and do things like being anonymous or just typing the stuff in. I mean, I've had this with my son or with my partner, like just putting a post to help somebody on a web, on an app, like, hey, we went to this restaurant, this is good, this is bad, whatever, and people just attack. It's like, whoa, like I don't know where we've come, in the world that this is a regular, typical way of interacting, and that's why this work is so important.
Yeah, I was just I was in a session with a one-on-one client, and we were getting into a place where he was talking about how he speaks to himself in his head.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's speak to me that way. And he was like, no,
Yeah,
that I would never do that. And I'm like, see,
exactly.
yeah,
That's
yeah. And that's been the case for me too. It's like we men are often so abusive to themselves.
yeah.
Um, and I mean, a part of my work is in attachment development. And if you go back into the early days, like around men develop slowly, their brains develop slower than girls do,
Yeah.
because of testosterone. It slows things down. And so around the age of 2, men are anywhere from 9 months to a year, less developed in the right brain than girls are. And at that age, boys usually get about 50% less touch. So it
Mm,
really impacts their attachment system and their capacity for love, you know, their
yeah.
belief that I'm lovable, that
Yeah.
I have something safe to attach to. So early on, for most boys, that's when we start locking it up.
Hmm. Yeah. It's so true. And it carries forward for, I was going to say decades, but it carries forward for generations, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we don't do something about it. I mean, that was my intention. I mean, I love my dad. He didn't do a lot of things that I wanted to emulate, and I had to look at that also. So, he drank every day, he gambled, he did his stuff, was not great to my mom. He did the best job he could. And it took me a long time to really reconcile why he was the way he was. He fell asleep in bed with his dad. He was not even 13 years old yet, and he woke up and his dad was dead. He never got over that. He was a 13-year-old man that was raised by his brothers. They didn't have higher education. I mean, they were good people, but they were in survival mode. They didn't know what it was like to take care of in a healthy way. I mean, my dad did the best that he could, and he did take care of us, but in a healthy, nurturing way. And that's impacted me. It's impacted my sister, it impacted my mom. And my intention was when I have kids, I'm like, I'm going to break this chain. Um, I'm sure I've given my kids some other wonderful things to carry on with, but I did break the
Mhm.
chain of alcoholism, of abuse, and but it's got to be conscious, and you were talking about earlier before, like that perfectionistic feeling. I know I've felt it, and I think most guys do, and most guys do exactly what you said. We beat each other up, and that was something I learned in therapy. The therapist said, like, how do you talk to yourself? And I'm like, well, I could have done this better. Basically self-deprecating. He's like, okay, now I want you to practice an exercise. Basically told me, talk to one of my kids like that. I'm like, would never do it. You couldn't get me to do it. He's like, same thing you said. Why do you talk to yourself that way? And it was like an aha moment, like, wow, that's so true. It's like, I'm better than this. I need to treat myself better. And again, that's why I keep coming back to it. That's why men's work, breath work, and just gatherings of conscious guys that want to learn a different way, or they are expanding more, but it's so important, so I invite anybody who hears this, whether you're a man, a woman, however you identify, to invite yourself or any guys, to find a men's group. And if you're local, this is great offerings right here to just give yourself the gift of being in a safe and sacred space and allowing yourself to actually feel, because when we don't feel, we know what that looks like. Besides for the disease, it gets pretty ugly, and then we do take it out on our partners and other people. Yeah.
Sure. And it is, I will say, you know, it's incredibly valuable to show up to the space and for something like breath work, which can often crack a man open, um, and help him feel something and give him an like a profound place of clarity.
Hmm.
It doesn't end there. Um, it's of course important, really valuable, but it's then he has to bring that into his life.
Mm.
We can't just rely on this to change us, because what I have seen so many times, and it's why I created a 3-month intensive, is men come, they, it's kind of like it's like it can be like a quick high,
Yeah.
and they just return to the same environment, they're going to keep doing the same things.
Yeah.
So this has to inspire, and this is a part of brotherhood, is that it gets integrated into your life because we have this beautiful desire in us to challenge things,
Hmm.
and we can challenge each other to be who we really are and to create the lives we want to, but we have to create an environment around us that supports it,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, throughout my life, and you can probably relate, it sounds like you do, like I've had to leave different groups of friends,
Oh, yeah.
not because I hate them or think I'm better, but because it's what I needed to to be who I want to be.
Yeah.
So it is incredibly valuable.
Yeah. That's such a good point. I'll just use the analogy of sports. Like when if you want to get better at any sport, pick tennis. You play with a better, more knowledgeable, more experienced player, and it raises your level of experience. How you could get
Exactly.
better. And it's the
Exactly.
same with this. You don't know what you don't know. I didn't know anything about men's work, about breath work, and I opened myself up and experienced these things. And really, I'm not going to get too much into this, but I was invited like years ago to be part of a woman's mystery school, and to hold space for these women and see, of course, I wasn't privy to all of the different things that they were doing, but just to be in that space and get a little bit more of a sense of like what goes on in the minds of women and how they view men. At first, they didn't want me anywhere near them, but the leader of the community, Deep Arrow woman, she invited me and another guy in, and it was kind of weird, but eventually they opened up, and I think that's a large part of it. It's the communication. When, like right now, I think. You hear the toxic masculinity, but this toxic, femininity also. I think it's hard for women to really get that foothold of what they need when men don't really even know. I don't think we're really fully cognizant of what it is they need. And then it's also that balance because I've experienced this a lot also. I don't think women fully understand where we're coming from. We want to serve. We want to, we're builders and fixers and obviously there's a lot that goes along with that. We don't need to fix. They're not asking us to fix anything. They just want presence and listening. So that's a whole nother thing. But it's just that communication and that understanding what each of us actually needs. I think it goes a real long way. And again, this is a great place to start and to integrate it, like you said. Just if we don't know ourselves, how are we supposed to be in relationship? And this work really helps us tap into ourselves. And like you said, it takes practice, and you have to bring it out and integrate it because one or two times, it's just an experience. And like you said, I know I get high off of it, and it's wonderful, it's beautiful. I'm writing poetry. Well, how come I'm not writing poetry 2 days later?
Yeah.
Because I'm like back in my pattern. So it's that pattern interrupt, and the more we do this work, the more it becomes, a muscle memory, even a ritual. So.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
There was a Mary Oliver, who's I think one of the greatest American poets.
Mm.
She was giving a lecture, and someone in the crowd stood up and they were like, Mary, how do you do it? Like day after day, you write these incredible poems. There's so many poems you've written that are incredible. Like, how do you do this? And she just very calmly said, I keep the appointment.
I love that. I never
Yeah.
heard that from her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Show up.
like rightfully so, women carry an issue with men. There's a lot of history of
Yeah.
pain and hardship, and also this biological difference that like women carry a child and they have to birth the child and then nurse
Mm-hmm.
the child. And as men, we will never, ever know what that's like. and even their monthly cycle. Like we have no concept. I don't
Yeah.
care who you are as a man. Like you'll never be able to understand what a woman goes through in that experience. And so I think it's really important that women, I'm so glad that, you know, the feminist movement has its pros and cons, certainly, in my perspective, but I'm really glad that it's raised the standard. And I think it's
Mhm.
inspired a lot of this men's work that's popped up all over the world, really.
Yeah.
I'm not in love with this like strategy of shaming men to try to get them to be better. It doesn't, I've seen
Doesn't
how
work.
it fails,
Yeah.
um, and creates more dissonance between the sexes. But I am very glad that the standard has been raised. And
Yeah.
I do pray that that gets held and met.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a beautiful prayer. I share that feeling as well. I've been in a few different ceremonies where the women have offered just for the men, just witness, just hold space. And as guys that don't really necessarily understand that, well, we want to do something. What do you want us to go build something so you could sit on it to hold the space? We don't know intuitively anymore. I don't believe how to just be present, and that's so much of what they're just asking for. They want to be seen, they want to be acknowledged, and it's such a beautiful thing to be able to do that for them. And then it's like I just remember one particular circle of guys like, wow. I'm like, yeah. Like he's like, well, I didn't do anything. It's like, but you did. You did. You were here, you were present. You weren't like wandering around. You were actually focusing on what they were saying, what they were singing, what they were bringing, and they really appreciate that. That's all we really need to do. And then they feel it, and then it comes full circle. It comes back to us. So it's a relearning of really because I think we don't really know intuitively anymore. So I hold that vision also for men and women to really just start communicating fully, drop down the the pretense, or not even pretense, but the feelings that we have to be a certain way and just be vulnerable with each other, because that really makes a big difference when we could feel each other's hearts. It's just softening. I know in my relationship, when I could do that, man, things change like that. It's a lot easier than we think it is. It really is.
Yeah. And with good discernment, you know.
Well, yes, that goes without saying. So you really do offer a lot of beautiful things. So before we wrap up, what would you like to share with the community? Any upcoming things that local people could attend, or any offerings that you'd like to share with the people?
Sure. There's a monthly breath work that happens. Um, you'll be able to find all this out through my website. Um, but there's a monthly breath work. I'll be collaborating with a friend. His name is Three, and he is a incredible yoga teacher. Like really phenomenal. It's so amazing to me to get to work alongside someone who like really lives their
Hmm.
work. Uh, and so he kind of holds this embodiment piece, and we host workshops, and we're kind of rubbing our palms together to do things for men and even for men and women and everyone in between. And in November, I'm going to be running a 3-month breathwork intensive with 10 men. It fills up pretty quick, but there's a wait list you can hop on now, and you'll be the first to find out. And that's one of my favorites because it uses the power of breath work, but I'll do things like we'll do shadow work and a little bit of IFS stuff. And we talk a little bit about attachment and development and the polyvagal theory. And we learn different techniques and ways to be with each other and hold each other and create a brotherhood and hold each other to create the environment that supports our thriving.
Hmm.
And from the last round, one group started, like one guy started a men's group, and a lot of the members are in it, and another one is about to start another one. And I've been kind of lightly mentoring those guys and supporting
Nice.
the cultivation of that. So yeah.
Beautiful. Well, all of your contact information will be in the show notes and on the screen here as well. And I just want to thank you, brother. It's a beautiful conversation, and I appreciate all that you put out there into the community and in the world.
Thank you, my friend. It's such a blessing to be here, and thanks for having me on the call and doing everything you've done and do to be who you are today.
Thank you, my brother. Namaste.
Yeah.
Visit IlluminatedWarrior.com if you'd like to go deeper and find out more about what's available within the Illuminated Warrior men's transformational community. Tune in next time for more candid conversations for men and women about men on the Way of the Illuminated Warrior Talk Show. Until next time, illuminate your path with loving kindness.